Hello everyone and welcome back for some more Drag Race gossip, secrets and drama. We all know that Drag Race can be a very dramatic show and the queens have had some very memorable fights over the years. But many of the fights on Drag Race happen either when the camera isn't rolling or the editors just choose to not include them in the final edit. So today we're going to be looking at 6 unaired fights from RuPaul's Drag Race, including Delano versus Milk, Jimbo versus Mo Hart, as well as Chad Michaels versus Fifi O'Hara / Jaremi. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Please note that because we're going to be talking about the outcome of certain episodes of Drag Race, there is a spoiler alert in place for this video. Chad Michaels versus Fifi O'Hara / Jaremi. Chad Michaels competed on Season 4 and All-Stars 1 and placed runner-up and winner respectively. Carey, formerly known as Fifi O'Hara, competed on Season 4 and All-Stars 2 and placed runner-up and 7th respectively. You may remember that on Season 4 there was an ongoing storyline that Jaremi had feuds with several of the contestants, such as Sharon Needles as well as Willem, and in general the edit showed Jaremi to be quite cutthroat. And at the finale, RuPaul brought this up to Jaremi, and several other contestants said that they thought Jaremi had behaved poorly throughout the season. And Chad Michaels was even asked about this at the finale, and Chad said that she had defended Jaremi throughout the season. But when Chad watched the season from home, she realised that Jaremi had done a lot of things that Chad didn't know about at the time. And Chad even said that Jaremi had, quote, really let her ass hang out. But what you may not know is that Chad and Jaremi apparently had a fight on set that wasn't caught on camera. In an episode of Entertainment Weekly's Binge podcast, Chad said that she had a fight with Jaremi that would have, quote, rivaled the Party City fight between Sharon and Jaremi. Chad explained that one night they let the queens stay an hour later on set so that they could work on their wigs. And according to Chad, Jaremi, quote, started in on me and I said something like, you know what, Fifi, I was on the Jay Leno show. I appeared on the Jay Leno show as Cher. What have you done? And apparently Jaremi replied to Chad and said, quote, yeah, you were on the Jay Leno show as a joke. Chad said her, quote, head could have exploded when Jaremi said that because presumably Chad was so angry at what Jaremi had said about her. Chad then went on to say, quote, the tragedy of the story is that it was not caught on camera, it would have rivaled the Party City scene. Chad said that she was, quote, puffing up and stoking herself up. And Jaremi then said what she had said was a joke, but Chad joked and said, quote, you be. So I guess that this is one of the juicy unaired fights that we'll never get to see because there were no cameras present on the set. And this is probably why the show now makes sure that there are always cameras on set when the queens are there, just to make sure that these moments don't get missed on camera. And I'd just like to take a moment to say thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Dinnerly. Dinnerly is an affordable meal delivery service that makes it quick and easy to create tasty meals at affordable prices. All you have to do is choose from over 100 yummy recipes which cater to a wide variety of dietary requirements, select your delivery date, and Dinnerly will provide all the ingredients for you in an insulated box so you can whip up delicious meals in mere moments. And what's more, if you use my code DRAGT160, you'll get an amazing 60% off your first box plus free delivery, and you'll also get 15% off your next 5 boxes after that, which means that you'll get a total of up to $160 off 6 boxes, and you'll be able to cook up some yummy meals for only $1.99 per portion. Click the link in the description or in the pinned comment to get your incredible discount today. Thanks again to Dinnerly for sponsoring this video. Delano versus Laganja Estranja. Delano competed on Season 6 and All-Stars 2 and placed runner-up and 9th respectively. And Laganja Estranja also competed on Season 6 and placed 8th. As we know from the show, Adore and Laganja already knew each other before they started filming and they were good friends. But throughout the show, Laganja was called out by the other contestants who felt that she was fake and saying that her affectations in her voice and her sayings such as "okur" and "mama" were not genuine. And Adore also criticised Laganja on several occasions and said that she acts different when she's off and on camera. And this culminated in a now well-known fight in Untucked in episode 8, where everyone confronted Laganja and Laganja said, quote, "I feel very attacked." Well, what you may not know is there was a bit more to the story, which Adore has talked about in different interviews. In a 2014 interview with Joy Radio, Adore was asked what her relationship is like with Laganja now after the show. And Adore said that she and Laganja were really cool before the show, but she felt like Laganja was very competitive. And Adore even said that she, quote, was one of my really good friends, but Adore went on to say, quote, we're not really that close anymore. Adore also said that it was really sad and said that it was kind of like, quote, the death of a friend. Adore then brought up the moment in the season 6 finale where they got Adore and Laganja in a room together and they made them watch the Untucked fight. Adore said that she was kind of misled into thinking that the show had set up this meeting between the two of them because Laganja wanted to apologise, and that's apparently what the producers had said to Adore. But when Adore got there, that wasn't actually the case, and Adore has since described this interaction as, quote, one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever done in my life. Adore then said that Laganja, quote, didn't get what she was doing in terms of coming off a different way, and she apparently was backing this up by saying, quote, this is who I am. And Adore said, quote, it kind of just made me push myself a little bit away from her and not want anything to do with that. And in a different interview with Feast of Fun in 2014, Adore was asked about the Untucked fight, and one of the hosts said that Laganja had had a bad edit on the show. And Adore said, quote, I'm just going to say this real quick, it's not the editing because they could have really effed her over because that meltdown episode was 40% of what you guys seen. She was throwing shoes, she was being crazy, and Ru had to tell her to shut up. It was really bad. And Adore even said that the show, quote, gave her a good ass edit on that last episode. And one of the hosts asked why Laganja acted that way in Untucked, and Adore said, quote, she lost it, we had no idea what was happening, but just to clear up the editing situation, that was not editing at all. The host then asked Adore if she felt bad for Laganja, and suggested that perhaps they needed to cut the cameras because clearly her, quote, meds were off, and she was hyperventilating and she looked like she was about to pass out. Adore explained that, quote, by the 3rd episode she had already thrown me under the bus and made up an effing story. And I believe Adore was referring to the moment Laganja said in Untucked that Adore had previously come for her, but Laganja couldn't remember when. Adore also said that Laganja and her friends back home were always doing, quote, mind-twisting thing. Adore then said that Laganja had tried to, quote, manipulate the audience to think that I was a shady bee because she thought she was going home. And Adore said that everyone else agreed with her that Laganja was trying to manipulate the audience. But the host then asked if Adore had forgiven Laganja, and Adore said yes and said that they have worked so much together and it would be hard to have that kind of tension, so they had already made up. And this interview was from 2014, which was right after they had filmed Drag Race, so perhaps their emotions were a bit different at the time. But more recently in 2021, Adore tweeted in support of Laganja's GoFundMe for her transition, and Adore said, quote, so proud of you, may your dreams come true and all your wishes be granted, love you Ganj. So it seems like the two of them may have reconciled since their season. And it seems like Adore may have had another unaired fight with another one of her season 6 sisters. Make sure you keep watching and I'll talk about that later in the video. Pearl versus RuPaul. Pearl competed on season 7 of Drag Race US and placed runner-up. Throughout season 7, you may remember that Pearl had this storyline that she was, quote, sleepwalking through the competition and needed to wake up. And there was a very dramatic moment in the workroom in episode 5 where Pearl and RuPaul had an uncomfortable standoff, and Pearl asked RuPaul, is there something on my face? And I have talked more about this moment before in previous videos, but it appears that there may have been more to this moment than what was shown. Pearl once said in an interview with Hey Queen that the reason she acted the way that she did in that moment is because Pearl had gushed to RuPaul about how much she looked up to her during a moment when the cameras were down. And apparently, Pearl said that RuPaul said to her, quote, nothing you say matters unless that camera is rolling. and Pearl said that that's what led her to have, quote, one foot out the door for the rest of the competition. And Pearl said in an interview with Joseph Shepherd that after the Hey Queen interview aired, a producer from Drag Race had called her and said that because of what she had said on Hey Queen, she would never be asked back on All Stars. But it seems like Pearl may have inferred that there may have been more to the uncomfortable moment between her and RuPaul in the workroom than what was shown. In a social media post that Pearl posted right after the episode originally aired, Pearl said that apparently RuPaul had said that she had, quote, no personality, and told her that she wasn't going to be successful in the challenge. And Pearl seemed to imply that RuPaul then refilmed what he said and changed it to say that Pearl did not have a, quote, big personality, rather than saying she had no personality. And Pearl said that of course the show won't make RuPaul look bad, which is why they didn't air what RuPaul had said first of all. Pearl also said, quote, I sat for about 20 minutes bent over taking it up my ass, followed by a nonsensical stare down. Anyone with a spine would have retaliated, and I don't think it was that harsh. And if that is true, then it would explain why in the episode it made it look like Pearl had misquoted RuPaul. But perhaps that was not actually the full story and they just didn't actually air what RuPaul had originally said. And on a similar note, you may remember that in episode 3 of season 7, the Queens had to do an acting challenge called Shakespeare. And Kennedy Davenport's team were very unprepared, and at one point RuPaul called them out during the rehearsal, and he then called them out later on stage. Well, Ginger Minj once spilled some behind the scenes tea about this during a show at Hamburger Mary's. Ginger said that although she was on the other team, she had heard that during rehearsal with Kennedy's team, RuPaul got so annoyed with Kennedy's team that he told them to cut the cameras and yelled at them for around 20 minutes. And that means that what we saw in the episode was not actually the full story, and RuPaul had apparently yelled at them for much longer off camera, and that was much worse than what they actually showed in the episode. And if this is true, it would explain why RuPaul snapped at them later on the main stage the way that she did. And Pearl was also in Kennedy's team that week, so it may also explain why RuPaul and Pearl had some tension later on. Pearl has also said in the past that the description that she was given for her character in Shakespeare was a, quote, butch lesbian, which is why Pearl lowered her voice. But in the judges' critiques, they made out like Pearl had done that for no reason. And apparently the Queens only had 30 minutes to memorise their lines and also get in drag, which is why some of them were so unprepared and some of them looked quite messy. And when I interviewed Mrs. Kasha Davis on my channel, she also said the same thing, that they only had minutes to prepare for the challenge. And this is why some people like Jaden Dior Fierce struggled with the memorisation and ended up having a breakdown. Jimbo versus Mo Hart. Jimbo competed on Canada's Drag Race Season 1 and UK vs The World, placing 4th and 7th respectively, and Jimbo has also been announced for the upcoming season of All Stars 8. Mo Hart, who was formerly known as Monique Hart, competed on Season 10, All Stars 4 and UK vs The World, placing 8th, runner-up and runner-up respectively. Throughout UK vs The World, they didn't really show that much interaction between Jimbo and Mo because most of Jimbo's storyline was tied to the dramatic moment when Jimbo got eliminated by Pangina Heels in episode 3. However, it may surprise you to know that apparently Jimbo and Mo had an unaired fight. During a Roscoe's viewing party for UK vs The World, host Cara Mel brought up that Jimbo had once said in a press interview that she wished that they had aired the fight between Jimbo and Mo, and Cara asked Mo what had happened. Mo explained that one time in the workroom, they had been talking about things like sex, and Mo had, quote, opened up about my past, the struggle survival days. And apparently Jimbo tried to make a joke about it and then made the joke about Mo's mother. Mo then said, quote, the hood rat in me wanted to hit that bee dead in her throat, but the black working Oprah Tyler Perry professional in me just looked at that bee and said, don't try no smooth bleep because I will end you. Mo then said that everyone in the workroom was watching awkwardly, and then Blue Hydrangea, who was also at the viewing party, said, quote, yeah, it was intense. Mo then implied like she wanted to hit Jimbo in that moment, but then she thought to herself, quote, you're on TV, B, you're on TV, but the room went cold though. Blue then said, quote, she got what was coming to her, it's fine. And Mo added, quote, God will fight for the righteous. Mo also went on and talked a bit more about Jimbo's elimination, and Mo said that they, quote, edited her so lovely. And apparently Jimbo had a meltdown in the workroom before the lip sync and was screaming and shouting. Blue said, quote, it was so intense, I remember someone telling me that her exit interview was like the most intense thing they had ever watched and it was all cut. And Blue also said that when Jimbo was eliminated, she, quote, screamed so loud so that Pangina could hear her in a studio 2 studios away. Mo also said that later on, they wheeled in a TV so they could show the different cameras and they saw Jimbo's exit interview. And Mo said that Jimbo was, quote, going off in the workroom, and Mo added that they thought, quote, oh, that bee is mad. And Mo finished by saying, quote, they cut it all out, she blamed the producers, you can't do that. Kiara versus Ilona Verley. Kiara competed on Canada's Drag Race Season 1 and placed 8th. Ilona Verley also competed on Canada's Drag Race Season 1 and placed 6th. Kiara and Ilona didn't really seem to have that much interaction on Season 1, so when I interviewed Kiara, I was actually interested to hear that she had had a fight in Untucked with Ilona that wasn't aired. Kiara said that in episode 3, which was the lip sync rap battle Not Sorry About It challenge, Kiara and Ilona were both low in the ranking that week, and when they were in Untucked, Kiara was really worried that she was going to be in the bottom 2 and was crying. But apparently Ilona wasn't sure if she was in the bottom or the top that week, and she said, quote, if I go home tonight, it's okay, I don't care. This is my best look and I'm so happy with what I've shown on the show. And Kiara said that she was bawling, crying and thought, quote, are you effing kidding me? Kiara then apparently confronted Ilona and said that she found it unfair that Ilona was saying that she didn't care about staying, even though Kiara was sat there crying because she was so worried about being sent home. And Kiara said that it was, quote, crappy for Ilona to be behaving like that. According to Kiara, Ilona then doubled down on it and said that she really didn't care if she got sent home or not. But Kiara said that she knew Ilona was lying, that she didn't care. And Kiara also said that Ilona was, quote, not being genuine, and that's why Kiara, quote, snapped at her. But it sounds like Kiara and Ilona later made up and they're fine now, and Kiara knew that it was just because they were under the stress of the competition, and she acknowledged that the queens are also there to make good TV. Adore Delano versus Milk. Milk competed on Season 6 as well as All Stars 3 and placed 9th in both seasons. We've already spoken about the unaired fight between Adore and Laganja, but it seems like there was another unaired fight on Season 6 between Adore and Milk. In the same interview that I mentioned earlier that Adore did with Joy Radio in 2014, Adore was asked by one of the hosts to give them some unaired gossip from Season 6. And Adore revealed that she had a fight with Milk after the Rusical in episode 4. Adore said that Milk had been giving her some, quote, weird energy since the start of the season and was a bit condescending towards Adore, almost like Milk thought that Adore, quote, didn't belong there. Apparently, what happened was that during the musical, Adore was wearing these wings that had metal bars inside them. And Adore said that they kept stabbing her in the side whenever she had to fall over, so she complained and said that she didn't want to use them. And according to Adore, later in Untucked, Gia Gunn came in and told Adore that Milk had been talking about her in the other Untucked room. And Adore confronted Milk about it, and apparently Milk said that Adore had been, quote, making excuses because you weren't doing that good in the challenge. Adore said that she and Milk then, quote, went at it and argued, but only a little bit of it was actually shown in the episode. But apparently it got a lot more heated, but they just didn't air the full fight in the episode. And Adore said that she always wondered why they didn't air the full fight. And this apparent tension between Adore and Milk makes sense because Adore also once said during a live event that while they were rehearsing for the Rusical, Milk had this broom that she was using to sweep Adore with. But this scene was cut out of the final broadcast and was not actually used. But apparently Milk kept hitting Adore with the broom, and eventually Adore yelled at her to stop. So it sounds like perhaps Adore and Milk got a little bit heated in general in this episode. But they have since said that they are now cool and they're now friends and they've made up. So there you go, there were 6 unaired fights from RuPaul's Drag Race. If you'd like to get access to my videos before they go on YouTube, as well as shoutouts in my videos, priority when submitting interview questions, and also access to my archived videos, you can join my Patreon for just a few dollars a month to unlock these incredible benefits. I'll put a link in the description. And I'd just like to say thank you so much to all of my incredible Patreon members. Your support is really amazing and it really does make such a huge difference to my channel, so thank you all so much. So, did you know about any of these fights before? And which of these unaired fights surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. Please make sure you like, comment and share this video as it really helps support my channel. And of course, please make sure you hit the subscribe button to stay up to date about new uploads. Thanks for watching and I hope you'll join me again in future videos. Thank you, bye!